What are the positive things about buying a home in today's housing market? That is what we're going to be chatting about today. We have a handful of things that our buyers are loving about this housing market. Well, there are pros and there are cons to buying in any market, whether it is a hot seller's market or a buyer's market where things are a little bit slower, like whatever the market is. There are always going to be pros and cons, which is definitely something I know I didn't understand quite at all before I got into real estate myself. So that's what we're going to be sharing, is just a little bit different of a perspective on why it might be a good idea to buy a house right now.
Now, what is the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market? I think one big part of today's market is we're in a clear buyer's market, I would say. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay, because the buyers have the upper hand.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that. The buyer has the upper hand.
And if you're not familiar, if you're like I was before I got into the real estate industry, you might not understand the way that quite everything works here. So the past 8 years that I've been in real estate, it has been a hot seller's market, especially the last two, like extremely hot, where what we mean by that is interest rates are low and everybody wants to buy. Therefore, we're having buyers are paying way over asking, bidding wars, waiving their appraisal, like all of the crazy waiving inspections, so much competitiveness
Stuff
for buyers.
We maybe never see again.
Yes.
I mean, we might not.
Yes. And now we've finally moved. And during that time, a lot of buyers would say, I'm waiting until it's less competitive for buyers. Well, when is it less competitive for buyers? It's less competitive when interest rates go up. And then interest rates go up and you hear, I'm waiting until interest rates go down. Well, when interest rates go down, you're going to have that competitiveness again. So that's not what today's show is about, but there are pros and cons no matter the market. And the best time to buy is when it works for you, when you can afford the mortgage payment, and when the numbers make sense. So
yes.
With all that being said.
So you got five things to share with us today.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got 5 things.
And,
know,
if there's a bullet point or something I can expand on based off of what I'm seeing with my current clients and what current clients are home shopping, I'm going to expand on it and let you guys just know how I'm treating my clients as a realtor, but also myself as an individual, always looking for the right deal, because that's what real estate is. We want to find the right deal that makes sense for you, that's going to make you hundreds of thousands of dollars at times, because we have been in such a high inflated market over the last 5, even 3 years, 2 years. Just because you bought 2 years ago does not mean it's a bad idea to resell your property today. Yeah. I have past clients that reach out just wanting to know the updated value of their home, and it surprises them. It surprises them the amount of equity they currently have by just living and having a roof over their head. Because odds are they put a down payment on 2 years ago. Odds are every payment they've been doing for the last 2 years are bringing their mortgage down, and they're sitting at a 3% rate. So they're able to save more money to build up, to put down on that next property if that was an option for them. Let's jump into it though. Bullet point number 1.
Number 1 is, right now, you have time to schedule showings, and you actually also have time to think about what you're going to offer. You have time to sleep on it, which I know if you haven't been house hunting over the last few years, that might sound like it's something that you should have no matter what. Mm-hmm. But when interest rates were historically low and everybody was out buying a house, you did not have time to sleep on a house. You oftentimes didn't even have time to go out and get a showing.
I felt bad because my clients, I swear, they thought it was like a sales pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been to a car lot and they're like, man, it might not be here when you get back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the car industry, that was true kind of, I mean, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, maybe even right now. I haven't been on a lot in a while. But I felt bad because that was kind of the slogan I was having to tell my buyers. And it's because of the information the listing agent was giving me. Yeah. Man, we got 5 offers. We're reviewing at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Get your offer in tonight. Yeah. That was the script. And it wasn't just a script. That was the reality of things.
That's true. And it wasn't, what do you want to offer for this house? It was every single time, come with your highest and best because this is going to be competitive.
Highest and best.
And I think that people forget that that's what happens when interest rates are lower. Mm-hmm. Okay, so number 2 is we're seeing a lot of buyers get their closing costs paid for. So if you're not familiar, what are closing costs, Spencer? If someone's like never bought a house before.
Closing costs are escrow fees and the next year's taxes. Those have to be prepaid. And that's kind of what the gist of it is. On estimate, it's about 1.5% to 2% of the home sales price.
Yeah.
That's how it's kind of calculated.
Yeah.
And those are fees that come standard with every real estate deal, whether you're doing for sale by owner or in a real estate transaction. These fees don't go up just because you're involved with the realtor. This is through county. This is through filing with the state of Oregon. This is with your escrow officer and your home's property taxes. Everything is an equation, and that is how these are calculated.
And this is an added fee on top. So it's not something that goes toward, your down payment at closing like the earnest money does. Like this is an added fee that you need to pay on top of everything, when we close on the home. And so that's one of the beautiful things about a housing market like this, because I can tell you for sure when interest rates were historically low and more people were buying, it was a more quote unquote desirable market for buyers. In some ways it was. Well, one of the reasons it wasn't a more desirable market for buyers versus right now was because getting your closing costs paid for was unheard of.
Yeah. And imagine this. I mean, there's closing costs that go all the way up to like 18, 20 grand. I mean, for certain properties.
Yeah.
On average, we'll see them be around 12 to 14 grand. Divide that per month over that year. Imagine if you have to pay these closing costs yourselves. Do the math. I mean, that is on top of your mortgage payment if you did a long run division rather than everything up front. So if you can get your closing costs paid for, that is saving you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month if a seller is able to pay those for you. So keep that in mind.
Another thing to consider or just know about this housing market right now, where the opportunity is at, I guess you could say, is new construction might be a good option right now. It could be a way to potentially get a lower interest rate because many builders are having, if you use their in-house financing, then you have a more desirable interest rate. And we're seeing a lot of buyers choose to go that route right now.
And, I really like the quality that the builders are using and the material. I love how the layouts are. Now, one thing I wish it did more of is not just have one big open space oftentimes. I'm always looking for 2 style family rooms, and they're kind of splitting them up, usually one downstairs and one upstairs if it's a 2-story home. But what I'm saying is the layout and functionality of these homes, they really do work. In the square footage for the price you're paying with new materials, I just think it could be something to look into and worth it for you. Everything's coming standard now with just about 3-car garages, 2,100 plus square feet, 4 bedrooms. I mean, and ceilings, they're high. They're not just 8-foot ceilings. These are nice custom homes at times. And so if you get in earlier, these builders, they'll actually do the quality of materials you want them to do in the color choices as well.
Yeah. All right. So next is rate buy downs. That's something we're seeing quite a bit of. We won't go in depth on this because we are not lenders. We are licensed realtors. We can point you to a great lender though. So if you want one, reach out, but we are not lenders. And therefore there are a lot of rules and things that we just legally aren't allowed to talk about or explain in depth necessarily.
Here's an idea though.
What?
We're writing a deal. You really want a house. You don't have closing costs and the interest rates are too high right now. That's a lot of our clients. Why not ask for the moon in the offer? Why not ask the seller saying, hey, can you contribute up to, $11,000 in closing costs and do a buy down rate of X amount? They reply back, yes or no. That's the reality of things. If you're not asking for them to do these simple things, whether it's one or the other, I think you're missing out. And a buy down rate is honestly gonna save you in the long run. And if you can get that 7.5% to a 6% rate buy down, I mean, that is going to end up getting you qualified for a mortgage at times. So some of us, we've been out of the market because interest rates just jumped. Well, how about we jump back into the market if a seller can buy down your rate to make you be able to afford that mortgage? I think that's a huge bonus and a benefit that a lot of my buyers are using right now, but some people are skipping out on because they just see this rate, they're not trying, and they just assume that is what it is.
Yes.
No, let's go negotiate and get a seller to buy that rate down for you. It's a good option. So let's look into it.
And it is 100% free to talk to a lender. So it does not hurt to contact someone and get a feel for what things could look like. And they're definitely not all created equal. So contact us if you want a good one. Okay. So another thing to consider is that, how to explain this exactly? So this might not work for everyone because it is important to know that the less, a lot of people think you need 20% down to buy a house, for example. You don't. It's a big misconception. However, the less that you put down on a house, the higher generally, the less desirable of a interest rate you're going to have. So it might not work for everyone, but if it does work for you, a very positive thing that I'm loving about this housing market for buyers is that there are loans where you do not need to put any money down. It's called a USDA loan. We won't, go into the details of that. We actually did a show where we talked more about it. So you can head to our channel and find that. But there, there's other first-time buyer loans where you put less down than 20%. There's 3% down loans. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there are options. When it comes to these loan options, though, when we are in a hot seller's market, meaning things are super competitive for home buyers, you are not going to get an offer. Well, I don't want to say not, but it is so hard to get an offer accepted. I don't know.
It's
with one of these loans.
competing against a conventional loan,
Yes.
putting 50% down or 20% down, and you're a USDA home loan putting 0% down.
Yeah.
There's less risk for a seller to choose that other loan.
Yeah.
That's all we're meaning by that.
You explained that a lot better than I was trying to.
And so what's really cool is, and I love how you brought this up, is there are different loan programs. There's different loan options. Our lender is able to go through that with you. Us as your realtor, that's not our job. Our job is to provide you a service for a lender that's qualified for you, that's going to get you the best option for your income. I just worked a deal. Conventional loan, 0 down, great interest rate. I've never worked with a conventional loan, 0 down program. I've never heard of it. The state of Oregon came out with one. My lender, they had that loan as an option. So we went with it and our client was happy. And I really think there's some really cool options. Banks are coming up with these type of programs as well because they understand the affordability for us is not there. 8% on a $700,000 home. Your mortgage is going to $3,800 plus bucks. Not us Americans, not us normal people can afford that. So if we can find you something to get you into a home that maybe a seller is buying down your rate for or buying your closing costs down for, that's a great option. And in today's market, we are seeing that on a lot of deals. Now, if there's a hot home on market and there's multiple offers, there's multiple interests, now we're going to tell you about that. That's part of us and our job to find those details for you. Yeah. But right now we are seeing more days on market, things sitting longer. Yeah. It gives you that opportunity to sleep on it, but then also come up with the game plan with your loan operator.
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing for you to come up with that strategic plan to get you an offer submitted with a pre-approval with all your ducks in order. I think that's key within any real estate transaction.
That is the first thing. Yes, that is key. And if you are somebody though who is planning on or wanting to take advantage of one of these, 0 down or even a low down payment, especially like first time home buyer program, for example, loan program, then I would not advise waiting to buy until interest rates lower. Now, I understand that your payment will be probably, a little bit higher than it would be if you had a 20% down or, conventional loan, but your rent is probably also going to be really high right now as well. So let's just look at the numbers and see what makes sense for you.
I'm looking at the thousands that you could possibly be getting paid for right now. The $1,000 of discounts that sellers are able to provide for you. In a different market, those thousands usually disappear.
It goes
up. So I look at everything as amortized. So look at that divided by 12, how much a month more that would cost you if it was in a different market.
Yeah.
And $10,000 loan over a 30-year sometimes doesn't sound different, but closing costs up front, that's upfront money. That is the big kicker that I think we're saving a lot of our clients on right now.
So where can buyers go to search for homes for sale to see what's out there?
I'll tell you a really good website, and it's got our name in it. www.vettruscrawfordrealty.com. That's Vettrus Crawfordrealty.com. We pay to be part of every MLS subscription here in Oregon. And what's really cool is once you create that login, you can actually download, it's called Closely, and it's an app you can download on your phone that's attached to you in your login account through our website. So we're able to actually take track and also recommend homes to you when it becomes more, I would call you a hot buyer, meaning you're ready to go. We're booking showings for you. But we're able to keep you on top of mind and understand your interested home. And that'll be your best place to go, VettrusCrawfordRealty.com, and you can create custom searches. But I love using the Closely app that's associated with your login. It'll be your email and phone number as your password info.
Nice. Thank you, Spencer. All right. So before we end it, though, if you are thinking about buying or selling real estate inside of the state of Oregon, we would love to work with you. Our contact information is below. And if you are thinking about buying or selling real estate outside of the state of Oregon, contact us. We would love to set you up with a solid realtor in your area. Also, be sure to come back next week because we come on here every week and talk about real estate, and I will see you guys next week.